Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts. Gordon Freeman here, the free man, helping to lead you from the darkness into the light through the crypto revolution. Mass adoption equals liquidity. Liquidity comes from trading on a legitimate exchange, even in times of peril, as we have such faced recently. You're going to see something really interesting here as I switch from BTC to Bitcoin. You see this pattern right here. In fact, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see a little bit more. And this pattern here, very much the same thing. It's a little bit funny to see it up here rather than down there, but the point being that things are starting to settle in and starting to sync up with Bitcoin. So the drop-off has started to happen. It made it up above $600 million, 24-hour volume measured in Tether USDT. And actually, to start with, I'm going to do something kind of fun here. If I get it set up correctly, I'm going to show you a progress report. I recorded a little bit as the first major shift was happening, and then a little bit after that, after the second major shift was happening tonight, not the one that started the 24-hour trend. So no question in my mind where this is coming from, but I don't really need to make predictions on that side of things, because when we do the crypto in the news, oh my goodness, it's going to be so fun to see the ridiculous speculation that people are making. They haven't learned anything in a year of crypto, not even a little bit. Okay, so absolutely hilarious. The things that people try to explain this stuff away when the transactions themselves explain the whole thing, but you're going to go through a process of your own self-discovery to try to figure those things out. So I'm going to mute myself and try to set this up correctly to play back from the video. And technical error, it's stuck for whatever reason. Probably waiting for the hard drive to catch up, even though it's not coming from the hard drive. It's like, so I hear you're going to be live, see? All right. Yeah, and the not chipmunk version of this, let's see. I'll speed up a tiny bit just for curiosity's sake. Okay. So here we go. Let's get it to beautiful, beautiful. All right, so this should work properly for you guys now. Jump in here while Bitcoin is doing its sell-off now. Just one of those things you got to capture while it happens. So hopefully I'm not forgetting anything in the background, but so I just look at the speed of these transactions. All right, so we're going regular speed now, and that all should be fine. Audio output should be working fine. Everything should be fine. We're sorry. There's a reason that local internet access has ceased to work. Yeah, sometimes you just got to go get some popcorn. Monster shark, do 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 do. Giant whales, do 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 do. Master sharks, selling off Bitcoin. So $589 million, 24-hour volume. Insane. Insane. Okay, so that's all for now. I'm going to do an actual market watch. Right now it's midnight, about 10 after midnight, which is when all this craziness started the last time around. So I decided I'm going to do market watch at 1:30 and give this a chance to do whatever it's going to do. Very manipulated, very pre-planned. Kind of believe that it is directly linked to the top of the list, as things always seem to have been since November, middle of November. And, you know, there's that saying that's like, haters be hating. Well, you know, manipulators be manipulating. And you do what's in your nature, I suppose. So talk out on one side saying that you are for any kind of adoption that leads to mass adoption, and the other side being like, you know, it's about time we do a pump. So, yeah, there's no question in my mind exactly how this goes down and where it comes from. But I'm not one of those that needs to get my predictions in out there. Just kind of let what we're doing speak for itself. And if anybody decides to join our community, then they can benefit from it as well. So that is nice. 49.42. I think that at some point when this starts to level off, it also starts to taper off. Unless this is a continued effort, in which case there will be some waves, which will be cool because the way that this one was done, the first effort gave just like a short time for breath when the alts started to recover before killing them a second time around. And, you know, we look at these things in terms of, you know, larger market cap coins versus smaller market cap coins. And it's a bad perspective. It's not an accurate one, and it's not one that is actually healthy for the market. But we'll go into a lot of that different stuff. So, a lot of quote unquote experts out there that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, or when it comes to cryptocurrency, they leave everything they know about global economics at the door, and then talk about crypto kind of like blah blah blah, and then they go back to saying things that make sense in other areas. So, very interesting stuff going on. This has just recently started spiking. ADA has been in fairly good luck, so unfortunately now it's suffering from that as such. I liked seeing this pattern over here. And EOS, despite all the hate, seems to be in fairly close lock for the most part. Nano is surviving this last drop right here, so that's good. BCD, Bitcoin Diamond, being still in connection with Bitcoin. People don't understand that being any kind of fork actually does have its benefits, whether you're really associated with the project or not. And Ion's starting to recover nicely, so I'm happy to see that as well. And this is kind of becoming like an update. So I guess it is a good time to cover it now and then cover it in an hour and a half. That kind of sort of makes sense. So BCPT, very good. So we're starting to see some of the pleasantries of recovery. I took a screenshot just not even 20 minutes ago where up to here were the only greens. So we're going to start to see a massive surge of some stuff. Raven at the bottom of the list, which is kind of how these things work because, you know, I mean, the interest is in great projects like Raven when things like Bitcoin and some of the master alts, you know, start to waver a little bit. Still don't understand you guys over here, but you seem to know what you're talking about. So despite my understanding of economics, if you buy in, you know, 1,000 Bitcoins at 27 and 28 and it goes down to 16, that means that something great's going to happen. So I'm not sure how that works, but keep on, buyers of BTT, keep on buying BTT. So one of these days, you know, maybe it's connection with the BitTorrent stuff project will kick in and people will be thrilled with their hodls, and that'll be great. Just, you know, as far as somebody looking to make progress on the day-to-day, not sure I'm getting it. So these are still in the negative 12s. CLR, this will be interesting because it is so short-lived. PO, not really. You know, I mean, it's like down 3 from when it was low. So being down 11% was from a high point for it. So recovery will actually be good for people that have, if you've been trading PO for a long time or you know, have been watching it for a while. Oh, it went to 17 and it's going to go back to 16. That's going to be my guess. It's got 2 moves that it can do. The top one and the bottom one. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this is kind of a cool time to check out now versus at 1:30 a.m. No, I'm not going to make predictions because my prediction is I'm interested to see where the activity is heading. So very disappointed in, you know, Go getting caught up in this because we were literally clearing right in here and we got stuck in here. So the good news is that it started down here. So it had hit, you know, 596 before it started its own climb. And right here is where the Bitcoin thing happened. So we'll see what that does. We cleared some, somewhere jumped the steam. Man, things are going to be all over the place. It's so much fun. Okay. So yeah, we cleared some steam, just above 1,000. That was cool. In cash, waiting for what could be weeks probably for our one position that was left at 60. No problems there. That's meant to be a longer thing. We've had it for a while. Had it before we started counting our soft launch challenge to ourselves. Nulls is actually doing pretty well. Of course, here's what we look like when we get zoomed in. So, you know, it fell and then recovered basically to where it was in the first part of the cycle there. So not bad at all. Not bad at all. Negative 5%, but that's because it had already gone above where it was. So nice. ONT got smacked pretty hard. We were really happy about this. We were getting into our 36 and 39s. So yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding, but having fun with this stuff. So Bitcoin Gold, you know, starting to lose a little bit of its luster. You know, not all things that are shiny are actual gold. Bitcoin Diamond did the exact same pattern as Bitcoin. ADA, we'll see what it's able to do from here. I would imagine, yeah, this is starting to hurt it, but it went up another 1,000 in volume. So it might have some trade against trade power there. But it, you know, apparently is right in sync with whatever Bitcoin is trying to outperform it with. Ion might be getting back up to there. We made a little bit of money on Ion, and we're looking for I actually had a position in the 420s or 430 something that I decided to set higher when I saw this around here, because I think that it's still got that trend in it. And considering that Bitcoin is freaking out right now, I think that Ion is continuing to perform really well. Perform. Okay. So there's Bitcoin. So, I mean, generally speaking, you know, we're going to hit 600 million 24-hour volume very soon. 5036. So it's gone down about 220. And that's a huge volume spike there. In fact, I'm curious to see. Okay, well, not as big as the initial spike still. So, and there was confirmation that a single wallet working through Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance, I believe, were the three.
I think Bitstamp, I think, was the actual.
So
Bitstamp.
One of the programmers, one of the spokespersons, I'm not sure exactly which, but hopefully they did it in a way that doesn't cause any kind of, you know, crossover to like things you're not allowed to do. I don't know what the rules are when you have so much that you could cause so much to happen, you know, whether you have responsibility issues built into that, because you're part of teams that are behind this stuff. So going to probably be watching ADA, BCBT, and Go. And then, you know, some of the other lower volume ones, just there's literally nothing that they can do until they're done doing whatever it is that they do. So going to be interesting. Sad to see this taper off, and didn't really have a choice there. And, you know, people might think, well, why don't you just switch to things that are in pattern with Bitcoin, and then, you know, you'll know what they do. Well, I mean, you know, when you were over here, well, let me use a better example. When you're right here, did you know exactly when it was going to drop down to, you know, Bitcoin is going to drop down to 4,800? You know, of course not. Looking at the same thing in actual Bitcoin, you know, if you see nothing but this, you know, so what if you went in on one of your alts here and needed to just go a little bit further, and then boom. So you really have to know to ride the waves. And you know, the fast part of the altcoin trading process is it's not about greed. It's about making decisions that you're not going to get stuck in. It's about, if you don't have $10, $20 million to grow your millions out of, that you need to be able to circulate something much smaller and to do it over and over again as if it were more money than it is. So that's the ball game, folks. So I will be back in a little over an hour, and we'll see what happens through that time. Very interesting. Hey everyone, so part 2 of our update, it's 12:50 and there's just the next sell-off going on. So Bitcoin, yeah, I mean this is like a literal, 24-hour pre-planned pump. I can't wait to read the news articles so you can see I'm sorry, but it's just stupid speculation. There's some really dumb people out there that get paid money to tell you dumb things. So we got to cover it that way. It's just the only right thing to do. But the volume is tapering off a little bit. It dropped about 25 million over the past 20 minutes. And so now we have our second wave of selling off. And it's just kind of remarkable to see the numbers as they go flying by. A couple of thousand here, a couple of hundred there, a couple of thousand here, a couple of hundred there. But in so many hundreds and hundreds of transactions, it's just kind of a beautiful thing to watch. So I had to come back here, and I would expect this to continue down. I mean, my guess was that it's going to hit a 46.50 plateau and then go down to 43.50 for the longer term. We'll see what it does. Either of those, I don't really care which one of it is. If it can maintain something around one of those two for more than several days, about 8 days, so they can prove that it can make it a week with some, if it started at, let's say, 4,000 is a big breaking range, and then 4,100 is a big breaking range. If it can stay in one of those for a suspended length of time without going too much more than 200, 300 up and down, that's really what we actually want to see happen. So we shall see. That is the update. It said I'm going to come back at 1:30, but I might just keep recording these and then chain them together. Want to make sure that the market watch is helpful. By the way, we sold our Ion, our 444. We were very happy to finally sell that one. And that was a pre-launch hodl. So our other ones we've set intentionally very, very high. Our other one still struggling. I had it up at like 2,000 something, and it was getting really close there. And every time I get up there, you pull me back in. So, almost identical movement with ADA. So not very likely it's going to get a chance to get up there, because it looks like it'll probably take about 5,200 at this point, unless it breaks loose to have a little bit of its independence. Which is hilarious that I'm saying that right when it said 1776. Independence Day and stuff. Okay, so God bless you guys. Going to come back around in a little bit. Alrighty, bye. I'm still here. You still here? I'm still here. So get rid of full screen. And that should get us back over here. At which point we should do the same over here. And now we can look at stuff again. So here we are, the current state of Bitcoin. Volume is dropping pretty quickly. It'll be really interesting to see what it settles into. Wow, that may have even been over emphatic on the really. Finance, full client, volume. Yes, good. Yes. So, curious just to kind of pop through some of these guys. AGI is in step with Bitcoin, similar to Bitcoin. Simular, a little bit weaker than. This, I think, is still doing a little bit of an opposite-ish kind of thing here. Let's raise this up a little bit. Okay. So now I'm actually looking at the windows very similar to each other. And 48.93. It was, when it got to 48.80, it started scaling back up here. So usually when it gets this narrow, there's a breakout. So I may continue doing this until we see whether there is one or not. And CDT. CELR, really interesting to see what it's able to establish Since it is such a new launch and it held in the 6s, then the 5s, and probably would have stayed near the 5 line if it didn't get dragged down with everything else. Literally, let me see if I probably won't be able to find it that easy, but if I can, I may have already changed. Nope, still got it. Okay. So this was the entire list of greens. Okay. Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, ADA, XEM had just floated up here. It wasn't really part of the high stuff. EOS, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond, Ethereum, S&T, Ethereum Classic, and then NPX sitting on the sidelines there. So you look towards the top of the list, you can pretty much guess where this stuff came from. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not a conspiracy if it's true. I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory if it's true. And it's not really a conspiracy theory either. I really wouldn't care if it wasn't true. Is that it? Well, yeah, yes, I would. Why would I say that? It wouldn't like rock my world to find out that some person outside of the manipulation was jumping in to do their whale-like activity. So we're going to do a crypto in the news to cover some of the hilarity of people trying to explain the pump scenario. Fun is starting to recover. That's really good. It was up to 125. It's at 117. Not too terribly bad. Go starting to recover again. Glad to see that. It really got knocked down, and we were just done. We were done, and then it it was actually before the spike that we really got hurt. But we've cleared actually new positions in that, so not really complaining that much. It's just I don't like holding for anything more than a day, and that's been 2 days. So got a long time to go before it's hold. In cash sitting right on the line. Well, it's come up too. Good for you. ONT, yeah, it was really heading up there. It was nice to see, and it's got a way to climb again. 33,510 when we got a 36 and a 39. Surely would have been able to continue doing that, and it's right when the knockdown happened. Not the I'm not talking about the huge drop here, obviously. But if you look at the activity that it was doing, I mean, we would have already cleared those. So it was just a little bit annoying, small things that you got to work back around for a long time. It doesn't really affect our circulation, but affects my paying attention to it. It's like in the back of my mind, I know that it's there, so I'm just annoyed. RCN has been really interesting. I know it may not look like it kind of zoomed out, but I think that it's got some movement coming. REN, very interesting. May not look like it right now, but once again, got some interesting stuff coming. REP, making some recovery there. REQ, we were getting really close on this one too. And I think that it's going to make its way back up there. But look at that, 760. When you saw things in the 500s, you're thinking, oh gosh, it's going to be, forever for it to get to those positions and clear. Well, 760 was very, very close. And if it can do this, in a day, then it can very much get back up there soon. So in the grand scheme, we're still covering a pretty good range. If it can spike again, that'll be really great. Looks like Bitcoin is getting about as thin on the Bollinger Bands as it will, and it's settled into 4,900 like 3 times now. So I think the 4,900, I personally don't think it's going to hold above 4,850 forever. But if there's another pump coming, then absolutely nobody knows except for the person doing it. So until then, so Raven has found its place right smack dab in the middle of the same narrow Bollinger Bands. So the thing that's important now is that things are starting to resync a little bit, but they're syncing to a new 4,900. So if it's not stable where it is and Bitcoin goes falling, it's going to take things for another tumble again. So some things have recovered a lot. Some things are still in the pretty negatives, but it went negative 20% and then it went negative 20% on that 20%. But is recovering from the second one. So some stuff still pretty low, but it's going to look these numbers are going to be deceiving because anything is better than dropping 27%, 24 hours later. If you are, just a tiny bit higher than where you got slammed, then you're fine. I was a little bit disappointed by this. We'll probably be holding this for a while. It's about 150 in Bitcoin world. But I honestly, several weeks back when we were consolidating stuff and we cleared out of everything, apparently I had one position in Raven that I did not realize that I had. So we're holding something we absolutely didn't have to hold. And, now 1,500 looks pretty high for Raven, but it made it to 16 there, it made it to 17 there, and it held that for several days. 1579 was still actually right within that range right there. So who knows? Maybe it'll go ahead and clear it. Actually, really, it kind of doesn't matter a whole lot. Just once again, it's like we didn't have any, but I accidentally do. So we'll just standing up for the boys. So right now at the top of the list, REP, XEM, Ion, Yugo, yay. BCBT is an interesting one to see whether it syncs or unsyncs with Bitcoin. Nanu, BTG, EOS, and then we come back around to Bitcoin. So you can see the shape of that versus that, very similar. Look at that versus that. So we're getting some good recovery, some interesting shapes going on here. Some things are starting to spike higher than the angle that we see on Bitcoin. I've probably mentioned it a few times, but okay, we're getting a real spike here in REQ. So yeah, things are going to be very interesting for the alts, and people's memory for how this stuff works is extremely short. So the second that something radical happens, kind of turns their world upside down. Maybe we should try this strategy and that strategy, and maybe we should switch over to this and switch over to that. It's, okay, literally one day out of the past 7 months has been a better focus for trading against a stable coin than anything else. And the only other options being that people not learning the skill will short Bitcoin, meaning they're betting against it. They're saying, we're challenging it to go down. That's where we're going to make our future money, Bitcoin futures, and silly stuff. So, and a lot of the speculation last year when we had the 20,000 spike, and 2017, so more than a year now, a lot of the assumption there was the CBOE listing ETF stuff, and that went horribly wrong. Did not help the market at all. The assumption was that it would be huge. The truth of the matter is the speculation on it going huge was the only really good thing that it had going for it. So this is just an example of, even though we see go at -4, it's up from -27. So that is actually better movement than what you can see if you're just trying to track the 24-hour biggest gains, biggest losers. That's why that information, people that will teach you to trade just on that information are always going to lead you astray. It's one of the indicators that you look at, but you really have to know the coin and what it should be compared to what you're looking at on the chart. And you get that from using our method, using the principle of thirds and the rule of fifths, and scaling through your exponential growth curve, constantly adjusting to those two things so that you have a clue what you're looking for. Fantastico. All right, so we would love to see Ion continue upwards, ADA continue upwards, BCPT continue upwards. QKC is a little bit tricky. I'd be very cautious if you're really into trading that. Sitting right on the fence at about 4,900 for the coin of Bitness. It's not going to sit in this narrow Bollinger forever, but the trading is so light on anybody that's not part of a pump right now. It's tough to see. Might still have like $10, $20 up in it, but it's bound to start losing a little bit of momentum again. Now, there's the morning crowd. There's the 3 o'clockers, the 5 and 6, and then the 9s, all in the AMs, Eastern Standard Time folks that just do not know which way they're going to go in this stuff. But I would imagine by the time that it hits them, there's some fairly good positivity going on. So maybe they will want to pump the Bitcoin. Maybe they'll want to pump the alts. Who knows? So it's, really more than anything else, it's the back and forth that we really want to see. So now Litecoin has done pretty well. It's doing exactly identically what Bitcoin does right now. And Litecoin's, did it switch on me while I was doing that? I don't know. Well, it's losing a little bit of ground there. So XEM and Litecoin are doing the same thing. Very interesting. These things, they still have their own cycles. So they get a little bit of momentum, they lose a little bit of momentum, and when it doubles up on Bitcoin, going up at the same time, they get a little bit more of a boost beyond it. And when they go down with it at the same time, they get a little bit of a cut beyond it. So you kind of want to see the one that benefits it the most. So now let's just take a look at the volume. Ethereum coming out on top, 17,000 BTC 24-hour volume. Bitcoin crash, cash. Then XRP. BNB, and then Litecoin. So BNB, the only thing that's interesting to me about the bigger picture on BNB is why did it take this long for it to double? Because it's served the utility purpose that it has for a while now. And the other Bitcoin cash. I don't know why they get me choked up. Not sure why that happens. Okay. Very good. So thank you so much for watching. And I'm going to do a crypto in the news in a little bit. But for now, Archangel Alts out.